Well, 'cause some idiot named Jason Monroe said something about that. I heard JJ Redick said something about me. JJ, you better calm down, because when you come for the king, you better not miss.
Well, we're waiting.
That was interesting. Thank you very much. And your rebuttal.
Charles Barkley and JJ Redick, two strong personalities with wildly different takes on basketball, recently collided over the modern NBA. Barkley's candid, no-filter critiques win him admiration from some and eye rolls from others, while Redick stands up for the league's evolving style. Their clash raises an important question about how much negativity or praise truly benefits the sport.
I don't think the league is as homogenized as a lot of people make it out to be. If I'm a casual fan and you tell me every time I turn on the television that the product sucks, well, I'm not going to watch the product.
But first, a quick heads up. Our channel just dropped fresh merch at the Hoopy Hype store. Hoodies, tees, and mugs. Perfect for fans who want to support the channel and rep the game. Check the link in the description or tap the View Products button to gear up. Charles Barkley's journey through basketball is as storied as his frank, often brash demeanor. A Hall of Famer who battled titans like Michael Jordan in the 1990s, Barkley ranks among the greatest forwards in NBA history. He was a dominating presence at just 6'4". Some argue 6'5", using a rare blend of strength, speed, and ferocious rebounding to outwork bigger opponents. Despite never winning an NBA championship, Barkley's consistent brilliance and charismatic nature kept him in the public eye. Yet if his playing days showcased extraordinary skill, his post-retirement era further cemented his status as an American sports icon. Joining TNT's Inside the NBA in the early 2000s, Barkley quickly became known for unscripted monologues that both entertained and infuriated. He'd criticize star players one moment, then praise them the next, with viewers never quite sure what opinion he'd voice next. This unpredictability, combined with a genuine comedic flair, made him a must-watch television for fans across generations. Throughout the years, Barkley has established a reputation for blasting whatever he dislikes about the league. Whether calling out super teams for competitive imbalance, ridiculing the incessant three-point shooting, or berating load management, Barkley never holds back. His critiques often focus on perceived softness, claiming today's NBA lacks the physicality and grit of yesteryear. In turn, he's cultivated an audience that shares his skepticism of radical changes in play style. But for all his negativity, Barkley also radiates passion for the sport. He beams when discussing rising talents, advocating for them to push the game forward. Viewers appreciate his authenticity, even if it occasionally veers into controversy. Critiques aren't about contrarianism for its own sake. Rather, Barkley insists they stem from an unfiltered place, a desire to see players uphold the competitive spirit he once exemplified on the court. Whereas Barkley's fame as an analyst derives from a decades-long, larger-than-life presence, JJ Redick's broadcasting career developed through a more calculated pivot. Redick was a notable sharpshooter at Duke, infamous for burying threes and igniting fan reactions, positive or hostile, wherever he played. In the NBA, he became a trusted role player, best known for spacing the floor and providing dependable perimeter scoring. Though he never reached superstardom, Redick was widely respected for his basketball IQ, honed under top coaches and systems. Upon retiring, Redick turned to podcasting before joining ESPN. His shows combined candid player interviews with thoughtful reflections on modern basketball trends. Unlike many traditional commentators, he embraced analytical approaches, championing advanced metrics that reveal hidden layers of efficiency. This style resonated with younger fans who often find older pundits stuck on intangible concepts like heart or grit. Redick's belief in data-driven evolution heightened the generational divide. He frequently clashed with ESPN panelists who idolized earlier eras of basketball. As a broadcaster, Redick is known for calm, precise breakdowns. While he can be outspoken, calling out perceived misinformation or oversimplifications, he does so in a manner typically less fiery than Barkley. Redick sees the modern NBA as a product of sophisticated scouting, advanced training, and elaborate offensive sets. He lauds its strategic leaps and improved shooting skills, arguing these changes enhance the spectacle, not diminish it. Of course, Redick's unwavering defense of the contemporary game leaves him at odds with commentators who spotlight its drawbacks, whether it's load management, incessant three-point attempts, or star players forcing trades. Redick believes negativity spouted by influential voices can tarnish the league's image. This mindset eventually put him on a collision course with Charles Barkley, whose old-school outlook directly contradicts Redick's praise of the NBA's direction. Tensions between Barkley and Redick reached a boiling point when Redick made pointed remarks about negative coverage hurting the NBA. During a broadcast, Redick expressed concerns that major personalities who constantly harp on everything allegedly wrong with today's game deter casual fans from tuning in. While Redick didn't name Barkley outright in his initial statement, the insinuation was clear. Older analysts who bemoaned too many threes or soft players might be harming the league's popularity more than helping it. Redick's argument hinges on the idea that if fans keep hearing how dull or flawed the NBA has become, they'll eventually believe it. He suggested that platforms often rehash the same criticisms: lack of defense, load management issues, repetitive three-point shootouts, without acknowledging the league's improvements in skill and athleticism. While Redick agreed some constructive criticism is valid, he believed incessant negativity overshadows the game's bright spots, from record-breaking shooting displays to advanced offensive strategies. In a subtle yet pointed manner, Redick singled out folks on TV as culprits behind this negativity. Given Barkley's notorious track record for calling modern basketball a crappy product at times, fans quickly connected the dots. Redick, a self-proclaimed modernist, essentially implied that certain NBA legends on major networks were undermining the league's public image. These remarks landed like a bombshell. Barkley's name wasn't mentioned, but the implication stuck to him more than anyone else. After all, Barkley is the one consistently lambasting excessive three-point attempts, star rest, and perceived softness. Many saw Redick's statement as a direct shot at the iconic TNT crew, with Barkley and perhaps Shaquille O'Neal or Kenny Smith in the crosshairs. But Barkley being Barkley does not tolerate underhanded references. This set the stage for a robust defense by Sir Charles, who has never been shy about firing back. The day after Redick's remarks began trending, Charles Barkley fired back with characteristic candor. Sitting on the TNT set, Barkley eyed the camera and delivered a line that quickly went viral: "When you come for the king, you better not miss." It was a direct challenge. Barkley didn't simply refute Redick's stance, he accused him of disrespect. The Hall of Famer made it clear that he wouldn't be held responsible for any decline in the NBA's ratings or popularity. Barkley further mocked Redick's insinuation by joking that the old guys on TV aren't the ones out on the court bricking shots or jacking up 53s and a half. From his perspective, if the modern product looks unappealing at times, that's on the teams and players, not on commentators. Barkley asked why telling the truth about the league's shortcomings should be viewed as a mortal sin if a game is dull or stars are load managing. He insists fans have the right to voice their frustration, analysts included. Critics of Barkley's approach argue it's counterproductive, but he counters that ignoring issues or sugarcoating reality won't inspire meaningful changes. He sees negativity as essential tough love, a way to pressure players and coaches to address flaws. For Barkley, painting a rosy picture of a flawed scenario does no favors for the sport he loves. This war of words left Redick in a tricky spot. While he's typically eloquent and prepared, Barkley's retort underlined the power of the older legend's persona. To fans, Barkley's authenticity often overrides concerns about negativity. If Redick hoped to shame Barkley into more positivity, the attempt backfired. Instead, Barkley appeared validated, positioning himself as the honest elder who calls out the league's flaws out of passion, not malice. At the heart of the Barkley-Redick dispute lies a fundamental question: how should analysts approach NBA coverage in a world where fans have more access to highlights, stats, and commentary than ever before? Barkley represents the blunt honesty camp. He believes in calling out problems to keep the league accountable. Redick, on the other hand, warns that constant negativity can push viewers away, arguing for a more balanced or even optimistic perspective. This tension isn't new. Sports broadcasting has always walked a line between celebration and critique. Some commentators see their role as protectors of tradition, reminding fans that effort, pride, and fundamentals matter. Others focus on the evolving skill sets, advanced analytics, and fresh excitement that characterize modern ball. The friction arises when one side's commentary sounds like an endless barrage of gloom, or the other side seems like blind cheerleading. Fans, too, are split. Older or more traditional viewers might resonate with Barkley's concerns: excessive three-pointers, load management, or a general sense that today's game lacks the old-school edge. Younger or dated data-driven fans often bristle at these takes, arguing the sport has grown more strategic, skill-based, and entertaining overall. They may see Barkley's complaints as archaic, shaped by nostalgia rather than fair analysis. Redick's approach, heavily influenced by analytics, tries to highlight the strategic brilliance of spacing and shooting. In his eyes, comments labeling the league watered down or unwatchable can overshadow the remarkable skill on display every night. He worries that casual fans who hear influential voices repeatedly calling the product crappy might believe it, skipping out on a dynamic and evolving NBA. Yet one might argue that healthy negativity, pointing out real flaws like load management or lack of defense, also pressures the league to address them. If big voices like Barkley remain silent or parrot only positives, reforms might stall. The golden middle might be a measured approach, praising legitimate improvements while drawing attention to real concerns. That nuance, however, is often lost in the swirl of social media sound bites and the immediate gratification of broadcast hot takes. Within their debate, Barkley and Redick tackled real topics that do affect the modern NBA, notably load management, the surge in three-point attempts, and the league's fluctuating popularity. Barkley often rails against star players sitting out games for rest, arguing it cheats fans who pay steep prices to see top talent. He points out that giving superstars large contracts only to have them play sporadically undermines trust between the league and its audience. Simultaneously, Barkley criticizes the three-pointer's dominance, seeing it as a departure from more balanced offensive sets. While he acknowledges that teams have become extremely skilled shooters, he laments that many possessions end in a long-range attempt rather than dynamic inside-out basketball. To him, this monotony can dull the competition's creativity and uniqueness. Redick, however, defends modern strategies grounded in analytics. He contends that load management sometimes preserves players from serious injuries, and that extended careers benefit fans in the long run. Similarly, he regards the three-point revolution as an evolution of spacing and efficiency, not necessarily a detriment. To dismiss it, he says, is to ignore the skill and strategy that go into hitting high-volume shots. As for declining TV ratings and lukewarm audience engagement, both men have opinions. Barkley ties it to perceived complacency among stars and a league that coddles them, creating a product he believes lacks the competitive fire of older eras. Redick, though, suggests broader factors: the proliferation of streaming, younger fans who follow highlights on social media rather than watching entire games, and even the negativity of old-school critiques pushing viewers away. Central to JJ Redick's stance is his unwavering defense of modern players and the league's progressive style. He dismisses the old head claim that current stars are inherently softer, underscoring instead their advanced skills, versatility, and the strategic complexity that shapes every possession. For Redick, teams shooting 40 or 50 three-pointers a night is a logical outcome of data confirming that 3 points are more valuable than 2, assuming a decent success rate. Beyond analytics, Redick praises the improved depth of rosters. He points out that in past eras, certain players might be specialists or near non-factors, while in the modern NBA, even bench players can excel in multiple roles. In his view, the league's global reach has expanded the talent pool, making competition fiercer than ever. According to him, players recognized for their shooting, ball handling, and passing consistently match or surpass the highlights from past decades. To Redick, negativity from older analysts overshadows these genuine strengths. When stars choose to rest or manage minor injuries, he posits that it extends careers and fosters better postseason matchups. If fans are told daily that players are lazy or the league is bland, they might stop tuning in. Redick compares it to marketing any product. Negative word of mouth kills interest, especially for younger or casual fans who can easily turn to alternative entertainment. He also weighs the mental health aspect. Players face immense pressure, social media scrutiny, and non-stop coverage that magnifies every misstep. Redick posits that compassion and constructive input can help them navigate these challenges more than relentless condemnation. To him, Barkley's approach, while perhaps well-intentioned, might veer into scorn that only fuels cynicism. In Barkley's blunt critiques and Redick's steadfast defense lies a sprawling fan base with varied opinions. Many older fans relate strongly to Barkley's sentiments. They reminisce about the physical battles of the 1990s, the punishing defense, and the sense that every regular season game mattered. For these viewers, the game's current reliance on perimeter shooting and star rest feels like a betrayal of fundamental basketball values. Barkley's callouts affirm their nostalgia, a collective, finally, someone on TV sees what we see. Younger fans, however, might side with Redick's more measured outlook. They grew up consuming highlight reels on social media, enthralled by half-court bombs and crossovers. They appreciate the league's strategic evolution, find the skill level historically unmatched, and see advanced analytics as progress. For them, Barkley's negativity can seem stuck in the past, an unwillingness to appreciate modern artistry or dynamic floor spacing. Casual fans who watch sporadically may feel caught in the middle. On one hand, they hear a respected Hall of Famer declare the sport boring or soft, which can dampen the excitement. On the other, they might try to watch a primetime game and witness multiple stars sitting out, or an unending stream of three-point attempts lacking variety. Both experiences can turn them off. Negativity from analysts on one side, and actual gameplay issues on the other. In forums and on social media, debates rage about who's right. Some fans argue that Barkley represents a needed voice, reminding us of the game's roots. Others see him as a grumpy commentator resisting inevitable change. Meanwhile, Redick's brand of logic resonates with certain viewers who crave positivity and forward-thinking analysis, yet can also feel dismissive of real concerns about the product's direction. The confrontation between Charles Barkley and JJ Redick represents a microcosm of broader tensions in NBA discourse. Barkley's unwavering emphasis on fundamental basketball values, consistent effort, respect for fans, honest commentary, stands in stark contrast to Redick's championing of modern strategies and positivity. Each approach has an audience that finds it relatable, and each approach also has critics who see it as either out of date or overly forgiving. Will this feud dissipate or linger? Much depends on whether the league itself addresses the issues Barkley highlights. If load management rules tighten, if the NBA continues to encourage players to appear in more games, and if the shot selection becomes more balanced, Barkley's negativity may wane. Conversely, if teams continue to rely heavily on threes and star rest, Barkley's calls for change might intensify. Redick could then continue questioning whether the persistent negativity truly helps. Also, networks value attention. A feud between iconic personalities often boosts viewership. TNT and ESPN producers might allow these tensions to simmer, aware that the friction draws eyeballs. If Barkley and Redick choose to have a direct conversation, maybe a televised debate, the outcome could calm or reignite their conflict, depending on how willing each is to find common ground. Charles Barkley and JJ Redick's conflict highlights a broader debate on NBA coverage. Barkley's blunt style resonates with those who see an over-reliance on threes and star rest. Redick cautions that such blunt negativity can stunt the league's growth. Both men share deep passion, but diverge on how best to fix perceived flaws versus celebrate progress. Before you head out, remember to browse our Hoopy Hype store for exclusive channel merch. Thanks for tuning in. Drop a comment below on whose side you're on, and catch our next video on the screen.